Hello and welcome to TVWan News. I'm Meredith Kusa with Wednesday's news. In this edition, concerns over customs impounded firearms, NRI investigates KPPA boundary, and sports and education partners to empower children. Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil is still concerned about the custom-impounded firearms kept at the Igam military barracks in Lae, Morobe province. With the election commencing in 2 weeks' time, his concern have grown now that the Police Commissioner Gary Baki is planning to transport some of the firearms to Port Moresby.
Opposition leader Sam Basil claimed the firearms were impounded by customs on the 5th of March 2016 when it wasn't claimed after 5 working days by the importer. He further claimed that apart from the container's documents not in order, the firearms were imported by an unknown security firm on behalf of the police. And Basil said customs is still conducting its investigations into the 238 firearms, therefore has not cleared them. He claims while that process is yet to be completed, the Police Commissioner Gary Baki has gone ahead and ordered for 50 of those firearms to be handed over to the Joint Force College and the rest to be transported back to Port Moresby.
50 will be handed over. While we're happy about the ceremony, behind the scene, 188, we have a high risk of 188 weapons going into the wrong hands. And we cannot trust anybody at this stage. We cannot trust anybody, even the government officials, even the public servants. We cannot trust them at this stage because we are going towards the election, and if every members of parliament, powerful members, if their survival is being threatened, they will use any kind of means to hold on to power. Those firearms will provide an avenue for reckless people to use those firearms against unarmed civilians.
But when contacted by TVWan News, Police Commissioner Gary Baki was infuriated by these claims from the Deputy Opposition Leader. According to Baki, the firearms were cleared by customs 6 months ago and are now in his authority as the Police Commissioner. He said Sam Basil is a politician and should not meddle with the running of government institutions such as the police force. The Police Commissioner, clearly showing his frustration, says security during the election is paramount, and if it means he issues the weapons to his men, that is under his jurisdiction. He further says if the opposition leader has concerns or issues, he should see him and not run to the media. Baki says he will be in Lae this Friday and hopes to see the deputy opposition leader to resolve this issue. Shamit Poreambe, TVWan News.
Meanwhile, Customs Commissioner Ray Paul says Customs had disposed the seized firearms to the National Security Council. Chairman of the National Security Council, Chief Secretary Isaac Lupari, confirms that the Council, after going through the report from Customs last year, was satisfied that the weapons were for police. Lupari says investigations done by Customs show that 238 firearms were imported through a company for the police force. The Security Council resolved that it was only right that the weapons are given back to police to take stock and included as part of its weapons inventory. Sohe District is the first to have its 2016 acquittals of the District Services Improvement Program funds handed over to the Department of Implementation and Rural Development. District MP and Minister for Religion, Youth and Community Development, Delilah Gore, said the implementation of the program funds has challenged her and the district administration's ability to provide basic services to the people of Sohe. The district spent 10.5 million kina in 2016.
And government representatives of Sohe District met with the Acting Secretary for the Department of Implementation and Rural Development, Paul Sai, to hand over the 3-volume documentation.
We're going into election and I want to clean my backyard before I go into election. So it's not that easy as we thought, or many may think. It takes a lot of commitment to produce this type of reports.
The revenue chart showed 2 million kina used for health and education priorities, while infrastructure received 3 million. The minister said infrastructure received bulk of the DSIP funding because roads needed to be rehabilitated in order to reach most of the remote areas. Ms. Gore said the toughest health project to set up was the Kira Health Center, which took 5 years to implement because of its remoteness.
Kira is completed now. We have few health requirements to be done, like installation of incinerators, but we have health HCO already on site with 2 staff.
She said the 5 years in office was a learning process when implementing the district plan. She learned that when picking priority sectors, the district realized it could not reach the 79,000 population as it had hoped. Ms. Gore said she will take a bottom-up approach in planning if she returns in the next term of parliament. Meantime, Sohe district hopes that reports from the acquittals will be enough to convince the government to consider an equal distribution of funding, taking into consideration the location and population of districts. Salome Vincent, TV1 News.
Meantime, Acting Secretary for the Department of Implementation and Rural Development, Paul Sai, agreed that it is challenging when trying to implement Service Improvement Program funds and equally challenging for the public service to be effective in implementing policies that govern these programs. Secretary Sai said this remains critical in service delivery. Sohe MP and Minister for Religion, Youth and Community Development, Delilah Gore, agreed that it takes commitment and accountability to acquit funding meant for service delivery. The IRD is working with the Department of Personnel Management to train and upskill the district workforce in monitoring and reporting on public funds.
As rightly this government done the right thing with, getting 10 million down to the district. But equally, the district plans and district operations need to be, so I'm pleased to even hear now that the public service, under DPM is now cleaning up the regional training centers. And we need to grab hold of the 10 million coming down. So the machinery down there have to be able to, absorb it, absorption capacity. At the same time, the implementation capacity.
Grand Chief Sir Michael Samara had some words of wisdom for all the members of Parliament heading into the elections. He urged them to put their differences aside and head into the elections with unity. Unity has always been at the heart of Grand Chief Sir Michael's persona. That's how he knew that a country too diverse and complex could still find its footing by simply embracing diversity.
We must be united. We must be a united country when we go to the next election. You can have different political parties, but if you know you got, because the result is one thing. No party will go with absolute majority.
He's of the opinion that the number of political parties should be drastically reduced to 2 or 3, adding that still remains a challenge.
That's why I said, Papua New Guinea, we have a habit of forming individual parties, 2 parties, 3 parties, and so on. And we now have 40 in the history of our country. We are now all matured, mellowed, and I think we should take a hint that you should develop a party system, 2 or 3 party system, leave it at that.
And like a father speaking to his anxious children, he told them to remain united heading into the elections.
Good luck to all of you, all the very best. Go out to the election, don't curse each other. Yes, you can. Because I don't run with my bicycle, you can run with the so you can throw a spear na ito, good luck kahit lang nilakain pasino. Pasin na solve you, but you kill him. Then mawag na man.
He is one who has always embraced the Melanesian way of life, true and true, always defying what the Western world perceives to be the right way.
You got new election coming. Good luck to all of you. When you come back, set the pace. Develop your country. Make your country the greatest nation of the world. It's my vision all the way. When I started politics, I said one day this country will prove himself to be what they are. I'm lived to see it, and I've seen it happen. And you can unite the country as well.
The Morobe provincial government has made a commitment to honour Grand Chief Sir Michael's legacy by setting up a Samara Award. Morobe Governor Kelly Naru said the top 2 students who wish to pursue studies in political science will be receiving the award starting next year.
The people of Morobe salute you.
The leader was speaking during a farewell lunch for Sir Michael yesterday at the State Function Room. Naru said Morobeans have a soft spot for Sir Michael Samara, not only as the founding father of the nation, but because he also went to school at Dreghaven in the Finschhafen district.
Dreghaven can proudly claim to have produced Papua New Guinea's first Prime Minister, and all of Morobe should be proud of that fact.
He announced the Morobe provincial government's commitment to honour Sir Michael's political legacy.
The Morobe province, under its Gesson Scholarship Scheme, will include the Samara Award for the top 2 Morobe students to study political science at the University of Papua New Guinea every year, starting next year, 2018.
Other members of parliament also gave their own ideas on how Sir Michael should be remembered, from invoking a section in the constitution to recording Sir Michael's legacy in a book.
I come back with other members after the election. I could invoke section 1 or 2 of the constitution and try and get 2/3 of the majority to make you the permanent and lifetime member of parliament, which I think should be a gift of this nation to you.
I urge you to help the country in putting together the memories that you have so that they are written for our future generations. Because in yourself, I find that you are living library of our country.
Your faith in our people, in our country, I think for me and for us, that's the most outstanding thing.
The people of Milimbe, through Governor Titus Philemon, gave traditional gifts to Sir Michael and Lady Veronica. The country's leading think tank, PNG National Research Institute, has released a report questioning the extension of the boundary of the Konibada Petroleum Park. Minister for Lands and Physical Planning, Benny Allen, on February 7, 2017, has declared over 23,000 hectares to fall within the administrative authority of the Konibada Petroleum Park Authority. This prompted the institute to investigate why a large portion of land was given to the authority.
The expansion of the Konibada Petroleum Park from 200 hectares of land to over 23,000 hectares, declared recently by the Minister for Lands and Physical Planning, Benny Allen, is now under scrutiny. The declaration, made and gazetted on the 7th of February 2017, covers land, sea, villages and businesses from the Fairfax Harbour all the way to the PNG LNG plant site, which are now within the administrative authority of the Konibada Petroleum Park Authority, or KPPA. NRI Director Dr. Charles Yala and his young research team were quite frank on the possibility of another land grabbing scam. Dr. Yala said the extended land area of 200 hectares of Portion 578 to a massive 23,000 hectares is questionable.
I want to make it clear that this is not against the government. This is against a particular minister, the Minister for Lands. He has, by declaration, through a gazetted, granted his almost more than 23,000 land to a questionable authority called the Konibada Petroleum Park. Who knows what they do, how they operate? This is subject for further research and investigation.
The evolution of Konibada Petroleum Park Authority is also sketchy. Also, the legal mechanism used to establish the company is unclear.
KPPA, or the Konibada Petroleum Park Authority, was given powers in the Act, under Section 8 of that Act, to create companies. So that authority was given powers under the Act to create a company. However, if you look at this timeline, the company was created prior to the Act being coming into effect. So that raises another question: Is that action even legal?
The research team is calling on the central provincial government to take ownership of their land and look into this matter as quickly as possible.
The central provincial government is quite even quiet on this thing, and they're not proactive. They're not able to see that they are sitting on a massive prime land that is going to complement development down at the Fairfax Harbour and into Port Moresby.
Dr. Yala said state instruments and institutions have been used to legitimize land grabbing at the expense of landowners and developers. KPPA Act 2008, Section 38, subsection 1 and 2 allows for extension of the park. However, it will have implications on the villages and businesses. Tere Alex, TVWan News.